The press conference for Jermell Charlo and Brian Castaño, both of them fighting for WBC, WBA Super, IBF, WBO, and Ring Magazine 154-pound titles. That final press conference is going to be starting momentarily on T3 Controversy with FightView360.com. We cover every major fight live. A little tired, a little burnt out. It's a lot going on, but all for the good of boxing, I guess. So the press conference is going to start any moment now. And yeah, we're going to watch it and talk about it. I'm going to be here on Saturday covering the card starting at 9 p.m. Eastern over on Showtime. The undercard is going to feature Romero versus Anthony Can You Dig It Yidget for the WBA Interim Ill Bullshit belt. Amilcar Vidal versus Immanuwel Aleem. And then you have Bakram Murtazaliev versus Kari Gray. Bakram Murtazaliev is the IBF mandatory #1 contender for the winner of this fight. The winner can fight Lubin next. The winner has to fight Murtazaliev next, then Lubin, then whoever has the WBO mandatory status at that time. The problem I have is Murtazaliev is not televised. So which means I don't feel that the winner's going to fight Murtazaliev, because why is he not televised? Almost like when Danny Garcia and Victor Postol was supposed to fight. And Victor Postol was the mandatory, and he was being featured on the undercard of Danny Garcia fights, but not televised. So something's going on there where we don't know what the winner is going to do. Is Charlo going to, defend his titles, or is he going to move up? I think this is a good sign to say that he would likely move up if he were to win. We don't know yet. We're going to have to wait and see. But when it comes to the IBF, we know that they don't mess around, and you have to fight your mandatories. So, the 154-pound division is pretty top-heavy, but I do feel that Charlo is above all of the other fighters here. Let me pull up the rankings here from my beautiful website, FightView360.com. Shout out to my colleague, Mikey. Oh, well, here we are. Press conference is about to start. Hold on. My bad. I'm trying not to lag, bro. I've been having I'm trying to go full 1080p, so shit's not all cracked up.
I am in competition with myself. I'm already at the top.
Things are not fully optimized yet. So basically, by this time next week, I'm going to say by next weekend, I'm going to be in full 1080p everything. Even got a GoPro camera. It's a lot going on. We're working with the WBC network, which is set to launch, sponsored or partnered with the Vive network. And there's a lot, WBC channel partnered with the Vive network. And there's a lot going on. So I've been tired. I've been really, as you can see, pumping out videos, really staying on top of things. I could be doing more videos, but as I said, I'm still, building things behind the scenes. We're waiting for the press conference to start here. Oh, they got morning combat going on. Okay, well, let's let this play through. But in the meantime, why is that down there? That's not supposed to be down there. So we'll pull up the 154-pound rankings. I mean, these guys, Luke Thomas and Brian Campbell, they do the Morning Combat Podcast YouTube show on combat sports. And when it comes to fights, they cover fights for Showtime or pre-press conferences, weigh-ins, posts, etc. So basically, the same shit that they're going to be talking about, we pretty much already talked about.
What should folks expect?
They should expect drama. They should expect action, and certainly the high stakes that you spoke about coming in. 154 pounds, one of the most exciting divisions in all of boxing, one of the deepest. But what we're going to find out Saturday night is who is the best in show for the first time in the modern four-belt era. An undisputed champion at super welterweight will be crowned. Will it be Jermell Charlo? Just one defeat, and he avenged that by knockout, coming in with 3 world titles, or unbeaten, reigning, and defending WBO champion Brian Castaño from Argentina, as rugged as they come. Luke, a perfect styles contrast, and one I think that is going to be great theater when they touch gloves Saturday night in San Antonio.
Now, of course, as it always is the case with Showtime Championship Boxing, this will kick off at 9 p.m. in the East on Showtime. No pay-per-view. It's a huge fight, but it will be on regular Showtime, and of course, it will be a triple header. We'll get some more of the other fights a little bit later, BC, but for the moment, I do want to focus in on this main event. Brian Castaño, for folks who might be unfamiliar, the Charlo brothers are somewhat well-known, actually really well-known in the boxing world. Castaño is well-known to the hardcores and to some other interested folks, but for folks who might be catching him up for the first time or they've heard about this fight, what would you say is the scouting report on him?
He comes after it, but he's not for as rugged and aggressive as he is, Luke, he's certainly not a one-sided brawler. This is a very complicated fighter who gets inside, gets underneath your defense, and loves to go to the body and floor you with punches, but he's also very responsible defensively. Here's the best thing you can say about this man's career up to this point. He's never been defeated, yet the one blemish on his record, if you want to call it that, a draw with former champion Erislandy Lara a few years ago. Look, that might be the best performance of Castaño's career, going in there against a super elite, longtime decorated champion in Lara and making Lara fight his style, which, as I mentioned, is in close range, lot of energy, lot of output and volume. He comes from a great historical boxing lineage in Argentina, including Carlos Monzon, Sergio Martinez, and Luke, he's looking to put his name right on that list, which what we talked about, the history at stake, all 4 belts on Saturday.
When we had Tank Davis fighting recently, we were talking about what a win like that would do for his pound-for-pound ranking. Obviously, a guy like Charlo holding 3 of the 4 belts, if he wins the 4, it changes things. Very quickly, if you can tell me, where would it put him in pound-for-pound conversations if he emerges the victor?
Jermell, like his twin brother Jermall, has been right around that 10-11 spot on the outside, ready to leap in. He puts all 4 belts together and hands the first loss to Brian Castaño in his career. You're going to see Jermell Charlo firmly in that top 10.
All right, I believe that we are ready. So with that, we'll be back with you later. But for now, let's go down to San Antonio for the Charlo versus Castaño press conference.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to this fabulous fight town of San Antonio, Texas. I'm Brian Custer, the host of Showtime Championship Boxing, and this is the final press conference for Charlo versus Castaño. And in this sport, we want the best fighting the best. This year, especially this summer, Showtime Championship Boxing has put an emphasis on the best fighting the best, and that's what we have coming your way on Saturday. Sometimes it's a rarity in this sport when you get an undisputed fight, but we got one here. We got champion versus champion for the 154-pound crown, and it will be an historic fight because for the first time in this 4-belt system, we will have an undisputed champion at 154 pounds. You know, boxing fans, they love unification fights, but fighters, they crave to be undisputed. And it's going down on Showtime Championship Boxing this coming Saturday here from San Antonio, Texas, July 17th. And the winner will be just the 6th undisputed champion in this current 4-belt system. And again, the first undisputed champion at 154 pounds in this 4-belt era. July 17th, Showtime Championship Boxing, AT&T Center here in San Antonio. And it is brought to you by Premier Boxing Champions. The telecast jumps off at 9 p.m. Eastern. That is 6 o'clock Pacific time. And it will also feature 2 other great fights. You've got the interim WBA lightweight champion, Romero, defending his title against Anthony. You get in the co-main event. Plus, you've got the unbeaten Amilcar Vidal. And listen, don't go anywhere because this young man has stopped just about everyone inside of 2 rounds as he takes on the hard-hitting Immanuwel Aleem in a 10-round bout. That's going to open the broadcast. Now, tickets for this event, they are on sale, but they're selling fast. And if you want to get some, you have to go to AT&TCenter.com to purchase your tickets. This event is being promoted by Lions Only Promotions and, of course, TGB Promotions. And make sure you get your tickets because you do not want to be that guy standing outside the AT&T Center on Saturday trying to call somebody trying to get inside the venue.
Maybe I do want to be that guy.
The Romero fight
Maybe I have powerful
is also
friends.
being promoted by Mayweather Promotions. Now listen, as I told you, when it comes to Showtime Championship Boxing, we put an emphasis on the best fighting the best. And the man who put together our fight schedule, I like to call him boxing's best friend. He's intelligent, he's informative, he's innovative, his swag is on 100. He is the president and GM of Showtime Sports. He's none other than Steven Espinoza.
Thank you, Brian. And before I get into this fight card, I want to point out, or at least give a comment. If you feel like you see Brian Custer everywhere, it's because you do. And he has been added to the ESPN roster in a very high-profile role. From SportsCenter to calling live games, you're going to be seeing a lot more of Brian. We're proud of him. We've been, he's one of our homegrown stars. I want to congratulate him and on this well-deserved recognition and a great new gig. Don't worry, you'll still be seeing him on Championship Boxing. We got a tight hold of him, but it's well-deserved to see him getting other networks involved in a very high-profile role at ESPN.
Yeah, I like Custer. He's grown on me.
Now, with respect
Great
to this card here tonight, or tomorrow night, I'm going to be very brief. You don't need me talking about this card to know how big it is. It's the undisputed 154-pound title. That's all you have to say. First in history. We've got 6 fighters up here, 4 losses between them. This is a high-quality card, top to bottom. We have, in the opener, a middleweight bout, Amilcar Vidal and Immanuwel Aleem. That is a co-feature, maybe a main event on just about any other network. Romero, one of the most entertaining lightweights in the division, on a very tough substitute opponent, Anthony Yiggett. And of course, in the main event, it is the best fighting the best, as Brian points out. The consensus #1 fighter in the division, Jermell Charlo, again, another fighter that we're proud to say grew up on Showtime. We're thrilled to have him back. He is the best fighter in the 154-pound division. But there's one other belt out there and one other guy who may have an argument about that, and that's the WBO champion, Brian Castaño. He's not the household name that Jermell is, but he is a tough fighter. This is a real fight, and whoever emerges as the victor on Saturday night has earned the undisputed title. Again, thank you for joining us. We'll see you Saturday night.
Look at Rolly up there with his little
this guy's
bullshit
swag on 100. Let's talk about these fights. And I think Steven hit it. I mean, you look at the main event. 2 of the best fighters on this planet at 154 pounds. You look at their records, just 1 loss between those guys. You go to the co-feature.
I broke my back.
Again, 2 fighters.
What do you mean by that? You
My
broke
back is broken.
what? A vertebrae or what portion?
Spinal.
Julio Ochoa has just donated $2. You're the man. Are they giving away tickets yet? Lol, PBC can't sell.
Fights, high stakes, meaningful fights. And we're going to start with the first fight of the night that begins this broadcast, because you've got 2 really exciting fighters, young fighters here going at it. And Amilcar Vidal Jr. and Immanuwel Aleem. Aleem, 18-2-2, 11 knockouts. Vidal Jr., 12-0, 11 knockouts. Here's the interesting thing about young Vidal. He has stopped 10 of his 12 opponents inside of 2 rounds thus far. So I'll start with you. Amilcar, let's go to Saturday. Since you have stopped 10 of your 12 opponents inside of 10 rounds, or 2 rounds, I should say, will Saturday be the same thing?
Bueno, Amilcar, la pregunta aquí de Brian Custer es, ya que pudiste detener a varios de tus rivales dentro de 2 rounds, ¿crees que el sábado se repite la historia y la pelea va a durar un suspiro?
No, creo que es un gran rival, un gran oponente, sabemos de la característica que tenemos enfrente, pero estamos tranquilos, me fijo en mi trabajo, tuve un gran campamento, llego a un 100% y estamos tranquilos para salir a dar lo mejor el sábado.
I don't know about that because, you know, I have a great opponent in front of me, somebody that has done a great job himself. I'm focusing on my work, on what I have done. We're really confident. We have put a lot of work in the gym, and we're ready to go on Saturday night.
Emmanuel, listen, he certainly has not faced anyone as accomplished as you are. Is Saturday a night where we find out what Amilcar Vidal is all about? And are you introducing him to the championship level on Saturday night?
I mean, I'm looking forward to being a world champion. It all starts with Saturday. Whatever he's going to bring, I'm ready for it. I've been training. I got one of the best trainers in the game. I mean, formerly used to work out with the world champion, Jermell Charlo. So I'm ready for whatever he got to bring.
Romero.
There will be no early stoppage or none of that.
You haven't fought since December of 2019. Will rust be an issue at all?
No, none at all. I've been working with the champs, man. Best in the division, 154 and 160, the Charlo brothers.
He says there will not be an early stoppage at all. What should we expect when you get in the ring with Immanuwel Aleem?
Bueno, él dice que esta pelea no va a terminar temprano ni loco. ¿Qué pensás vos que podemos esperar dentro del ring de parte de Vidal este sábado?
Confío plenamente en mi trabajo, en lo que hice en el gran campamento que tuve con mi equipo. Repito, sé la característica del oponente que tengo enfrente, estoy tranquilo y sé que haciendo mi trabajo a la perfección el sábado, si Dios quiere, todo va a salir bien y nos vamos a llevar el triunfo.
What you should expect is that, you know, with me trusting my work, and I'll say it again, with the work I put in and the effort that I put in during an excellent training camp, you can expect me to get the win on Saturday night.
Emmanuel, last word. What should we expect when you get into the ring with this man?
You expect a real fight. I mean, anybody knows you put me against anybody, it's going to be a real fight. There's no easy fights. You have people like, you have a good promoter, you have fighters, you want to see what they do, but when you go against me, you know, it's a real test. So I'm ready to put the real work in.
That's going to be the fight that's going to open the night. And then we get to the co-feature. And once again, you've got a young man who is the interim WBA lightweight champion, and Romero, Anthony Yiggett, who is 24-1-1, 8 knockouts. Anthony, I'll start with you. I think same question. 25-month layoff, longest of your career. Rust at all an issue, considering you're taking on a man who's been active and obviously has a title?
No, I wouldn't say that would be an issue because I'm always training and I always make sure that I'm in shape and ready for fights like these because I know that, you know, I fought for the world title once and I know that people are gonna try to take advantage of that and kind of bring me in last minute to fight me. So I was kind of always preparing for war and yeah, that's what I got. So actually everything worked out just as planned.
And obviously, you know, you were training for another fight, but you know, you've never fought lower than 139. It's the lowest weight you've been. So here you are fighting at 135. Will you still have that same power, you think, at this lower weight?
I think, if anything, 135 is my real weight class. You got to remember that, you know, I've been fighting a lot in Europe, and in European standards, I've done quite well at 140. So I haven't really felt like I need to go down to 135. And then obviously I came up here fighting for the world title at 140 and you know, realized that no, they are a bit too big for me. So I need to go back to my real weight class, which is 135. The problem is that because I'm ranked at 140, I'm getting all the fights at 140, and I'm not one to say no to a fight. And I want to back down. So I've always taken them and never really made that move down to 135. But now I'm here, now I'm making my move to the States, and there's no better time than now.
Rolly, listen, you were training for a lefty. Luckily, the man you'll be facing Saturday is a lefty. and you've had a tendency to stop these guys, especially in one round. If you look at your record, I think it's been 3 of them you've stopped in the first round. Will we see number 4 on Saturday?
Of course, in the first round.
You calling it just like that for San Antonio?
Yeah, just like that. I'm going to call it. I'm confident with what I say.
What do you know about Anthony? What have you seen? And what does he pose that you say, I need to be cognizant of that on Saturday?
Well, I mean, he's a lefty. You know, I just always like fighting lefties, you know. So, I mean, I've prepared for a lefty. Austin Dulay was a lefty, you know. And, I mean, this camp's been amazing. I mean, I can't even say all the times I've stopped people this camp. So, I'm looking good. I'm looking really good.
This is a fabulous fight town. They love action. What can you guarantee the people of San Antonio they're going to get when they watch you step into the ring with Anthony?
Well, sure. Like every single time I ever fight, everyone loves when I fight. Everybody always show up, so don't show up later. You'll miss knockout.
Anthony, final word here. You're taking on a guy who has a belt, and he says he's stopping you in the first round. What can you tell the people of San Antonio to expect?
Well, I mean, they can expect and get ready to dig it. I think I'm going to come in and make a, great fight. And, I'm going to get the win. That's why I'm here. So, but, I see why he's so confident. And he should be. I mean, he's here to win. I'm here to win. So, and that's what the people want to see. They want to see 2 confident fighters fight. And that's what they got. So it's a perfect co-main event, warming up the people for the main event.
I can dig it. I like that. All right, here we go. So we get to the main event. And it's been a long time coming since Jermell Charlo has fought here in his home state in Texas. I think 6 years, if I'm not mistaken. Last time he's been home and fought for his home state. But the Iron Man, 34-1, 18 knockouts. He is the pride of Houston, Texas. And he will be taking on Brian Castaño, unbeaten, 17-0-1, 12 knockouts from that fabulous fighting country of Buenos Aires, Argentina. He's the WBO champion. It is the main event, and it's for the undisputed title. Mel, I think 6 years. What would it mean to get this victory here in Texas in front of the home folk?
I mean, I'm excited to be back home, but I don't care where I fight anywhere. So just as long as everybody tune in, they know we're going to, what time it is. I know what time it is. I'm ready. I'm more than ready. I'm excited. Anxious and just wanted to be in the ring.
And it's one thing to be the unified champ. It's another thing to be the undisputed champion. What does that mean to you, and what would it mean to you?
It's a dream come true. I wanted to be an undisputed champ when I was a child because, that's always the highest it can get in boxing. And so, to have this opportunity to see these moments, I look back and I just, want to say thank you to all my team and everybody that's pushed forward for this. Thank you, Dominique, for rocking with me when I was young. He bought me shoes when I was a young man. Watching him train and Ronnie Shields and watching, other champions in the gym, Evander Holyfield, Juan Diaz, Rocky Juarez, and my whole Texas native fighters. And I just said, now is the time that me and my brother finally get the opportunity to show the world more than what we worked. And Samson, I done fought a lot of his fighters. I see you in the crowd. I just think that now is the time. Showtime has done a terrific job with us. So has Fox. But I'm gonna say Showtime because I've been fighting on Showtime lately. But this is that moment. This is that time. Opportunities don't come too often. And if a boxer wants that, you got to go and get it. This is my moment.
These are the kind of fights where, for a fighter, you're undisputed. You're usually pound for pound, and generally these are the kind of fights that put you in the Hall of Fame. You think this fight is what does it for Jermell Charlo, pound for pound, Hall of Fame?
Man, I feel like I'm not even old enough to think about Hall of Fame, mentally. So I'm just fighting, this is the time of now. So it's a Hall of Fame is okay, yeah, that's later. And not right now, it's accomplishing a goal that, that's going to take 36 minutes possibly or earlier. depending on what could sustain. So, you know, I'll look into the Hall of Fame. I'll look into all of that other BS that they be talking about after Saturday night.
Brian, same question for you. What would it mean to you, because you come from a fighting family, what would it mean to you to be the undisputed champion, and what would it mean to Argentina that loves the sport so much?
Bueno, Brian, vos venís de una familia que tiene una historia en el boxeo, pero para vos personalmente, ¿qué significaría el poder ganar esta pelea, el ser el campeón indiscutido? Y no solo para vos, ¿qué crees que significaría para tu país, para Argentina, el verte como campeón indiscutido?
Bueno, creo que la otra vuelta ya lo dije, ¿no? Es para mí lo más importante para mí, para mi equipo, mi familia, para mi país. Es una gran oportunidad de seguir sumando cosas positivas para el boxeo argentino, y esta es una gran posibilidad, ¿no? Creo que ante un gran rival en Estados Unidos, por los 4 cinturones unificando, creo que esta es la oportunidad que se nos dio y vamos a aprovecharla, ¿no? Creo que estoy en mi mejor momento y disfruto esto, y entonces el 17 vamos a dejar todo para traernos la victoria y unificar.
Well, I've said it before and I'll say it again. For me, for my team, for my family, this is yet another opportunity to leave Argentinian boxing way up there and put another star in that legacy. That's my goal. This is the opportunity that I crave, that I want, and I'm enjoying this moment. So I promise you that on Saturday, July 17th, I'm going to leave it all out there for everybody.
Brian, you know, Mel's fighting here in his home state. He's considered the top fighter at 154. You made the comment this week that all the pressure's on him Saturday night. Tell us why.
Bueno, vos ya has dicho que toda la presión es de Jermell. Decinos por qué crees que la presión es suya y que vos llegás de punto pero bien cómodo.
Creo que, bueno, obviamente, ¿no? Él tiene que hacer un buen papel en su casa con su gente y brindarle su espectáculo al público, ¿no? Pero obviamente yo vengo a hacer mi trabajo, él va a hacer el suyo, obviamente. Creo que más allá de eso, yo vengo a hacer lo mío, vengo entrenando muy fuerte durante más de medio año, 8 o 9 meses que estoy metiéndole duro a esto y esperando esta oportunidad y nada, creo que la presión para mí no hay presión, siempre fui visitante y siempre fui de punto y terminé siendo banca, así que esta no va a ser diferente, voy a trabajar y hacer lo mío.
Well, does he have all the pressure? He's in his home state. He has to also put on a show for the fans. So that's why as far as I'm concerned, I have been training for 8-9 months. I've been training so hard, and I'm comfortable in the role that I am at. In fact, I may be the underdog right now, but I always come in as the underdog, and I end up being the favorite after I win. So that's what's, you know, what I want to see happen on Saturday, and I don't feel any pressure because I'm ready to fight on Saturday night.
Mel, you feeling the pressure?
Nah, that's funny. I don't have no pressure on me, man. I've been here so many times in my life. You know, I've been boxing since I was 8 years old. If I had pressure, I wouldn't be in this moment. Like, this moment is a dream come true moment. So why would I want to be under pressure? That's not, the state of Texas see me fight a lot of times. They watch me on TV, the millions around the world, and I'm excited to be in the ring. The pressure is on him. And it will show, you know, like he's gonna have to come and do his thing. He's gonna have to come and show me and put the pressure and all that other good stuff and avoid, you know, bombs. You know, like I'm not worried about it. I'm not focused on the crowds and all of that stuff. We know they come. We know they rock with us. We know they support us through the wins, the losses, the draws. We getting love no matter what. So that doesn't change anything. I've been training. Like my system is not me to tell you about. It's for me to show you on Saturday.
Brian, one of the things you said this week was, if Charlo wants the bang, then I'm willing to bang the power is going to make a difference in this fight. Explain to the people what you meant by that.
Bueno, vos también dijiste que si Charlo se quiere fajar, vos te vas a fajar con él tranquilamente y que el poder de los dos va a marcar la diferencia. Contanos un poco lo que quisiste decir con eso.
Bueno, eso fue una respuesta a una pregunta que me hicieron. Creo que obviamente él va a hacer su trabajo, yo digo voy a hacer el mío, y si tengo que tirar menos cantidad de más potencia para hacerlo sentir el rigor, lo voy a hacer, obviamente. Creo que nada, peleas son peleas, siempre digo, no me gusta hablar mucho de las peleas, cada uno tiene su plan de trabajo, y yo respeto el mío, voy a hacer mi trabajo lo mejor que pueda para salir victorioso, obviamente. A nadie le gusta perder, así que nada, hay que ir para adelante. Como siempre digo, yo no tengo presión de nada, lo único que tengo que hacer es ir a hacer mi trabajo, que yo vivo de esto y es esto lo que hago toda la vida. Así que nada, el 17 vamos a demostrar.
I meant that, when it comes to it, if I have to lower my punch output to put more power into things, I will. I really don't like to talk about, past fights or the fight itself too much, because everybody has their game plan. I have my game plan, Jermell has his, but in the end, I'm going to do what I have to do to try to come out victorious on Saturday night. And I have, like I said before, I have no pressure, I feel no pressure, and I'm ready to go.
Mel, I know members of the media have some questions, so we'll kind of wrap it up with this. And I think I mentioned this to you before when I was looking over your record. You've got 13 knockdowns in your last 9 fights. You heard him say, hey, look, power is going to be the difference in this fight. Do you think this is a fight that will go the distance, or do you think someone's going to get knocked down in this fight?
I don't know. I can't predict the future, but just know I'm much stronger than I was. I'm much faster. I feel like I'm ready. Like it's not just about the power. I got power in both hands, power in every punch, power in every shot from different angles. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what I can do. I'm excited to be in this moment. I'm thankful for this opportunity to be facing another champion. This is not just an opponent. This is a champion. So I'm thankful. I know he got a game plan, and we'll figure out what to do on Saturday to him.
Lastly, would you tell the people? And I love asking this question. What can you guarantee the people of San Antonio when they tune in on Showtime Championship Boxing, or for those who are spending their money to come into the AT&T Center, what can you guarantee them that they're going to see and get when you step in the ring with Brian Castano?
Mr. Don't Blink attitude. I mean, you might want to stay there and be tuned in, because you never know what can happen at any moment, from the 3rd round to the 8th round to the 7th round to the 4th round to any round to 11th round. I did knock people out from all around those rings. So those rounds, my bad. I did knock people out from all around that time. So my condition is good. I know he's in good condition. So we shall see. Start this mug like I ended. End it like I started.
Brian, before I let you have the final statement, you're on your honeymoon. I think you were on your honeymoon the first day, and you get the call for this fight. My question to you is, if you win, are you taking your wife back on the honeymoon that she deserves, and where you going, bro?
Bueno, él sabe que tenés una luna de miel en deuda, entonces, si ganás esta pelea, ¿te vas a llevar a Carolina, tu esposa, a la luna de miel soñada?
Seguro, obviamente. Creo que esta es una de las batallas primero que tengo que pasar. Primero está Jermell, obviamente, ¿no? Creo que primero es esta y después disfrutar, ¿no? Creo que no tuve tiempo, obviamente, en Argentina, me casé, a los 2 días tuve que estar acá y nada. Pero por eso te digo, este es mi trabajo, vivo de esto y primero lo primero, el 17 y después se verá lo que haremos, ¿no? Pero primero está la guerra del 17 de julio.
Absolutely, but first things first, we have a war to fight on July 17th. I'm not thinking about anything that has to do beyond Jermell and our fight on Saturday. However, having said that, after this fight, yeah, it's going to be time to enjoy, but my mind is fully set on Saturday night.
And what can you guarantee the people of San Antonio that they will get on Saturday when you step in the ring with Mel?
¿Qué le puedes garantizar a la gente este sábado cuando enfrentes a Jermell?
Que bueno, que se van a disfrutar la pelea, que no lo voy a defraudar y voy a dejar todo lo que tengo que dejar para llevarme la victoria. Creo que es un gran oponente, es un gran campeón y nada, yo también por algo llegué a estar donde estoy hoy en día y nada, voy a dejar todo y le garantizo a la gente que esto va a ser una guerra y vamos a demostrar por qué estamos hoy en día acá en el primer nivel y nada, a disfrutar de esta pelea, creo que lo van a disfrutar y eso se lo voy a garantizar.
I guarantee that I'm not going to disappoint you. I guarantee that you're going to enjoy this fight, and I guarantee that you're going to see a full-out war on Saturday night. We're going to do whatever it takes to come out victorious, and in the end, we want fans to enjoy the fight here in San Antonio and both on Showtime Championship Boxing as well.
Absolutely. That's what you're going to see here. 3 fights. Of course, the main event, undisputed title at 154 pounds. I know there are members of the media who have some questions. We have a mic, and we'll just pass it around. If you could, please raise your hand and tell us who you're representing.
Aaron Cantu with
please take your time out, like the video.
Mel, it seems like when the stage is the biggest, that's when you shine the brightest. You know, in fights you've been in where people believed your opponent could give you some fits, like Hatley, Lubin, and most recently Rosario, what allows you to shine in these moments in the big stage?
I mean, a focused Mel is the most dangerous Mel that you could be. So this is a great opponent. This is a great fighter. He wants to fight. He wants to dog it out. He want to bang. He want to do whatever. You know, I got different skill sets. Shout out to Juan Guzman. We done incremented some different things. Shout out to Derek James. We done continued on some different things, and I feel like a better fighter now.
So a focused Mel will be the difference. Mel, what did you make of him defeating Errol Spence in the amateurs?
That amateur shit don't matter, man. I don't want to talk about no amateur shit. This shit don't matter to me. Fucking amateur boxing right now. This is professional, unified, undisputed championship. We can't talk about what happened in the amateurs. Those accolades don't matter.
Right there in the hat.
Jermell, Danny Alvarez with Behind the Gloves. I wanted to ask, in the last two years, basically, since your lone defeat as a professional, what do you feel that you have learned the most and been able to develop since that and, you know, be able to get here now, not just get your title back, become unified champion, and now fight for undisputed come Saturday night?
Well, this is how God's plan is. I can't, put these things in order, but shout out to my great management, Al Heyman, and for being able to put me, and shout out to the WBC, because I want to say the WBC put me right back in the fight right after the controversial loss that I've taken. They put me right back in there to redeem myself. I redeemed myself with the knockout, came back with jet fuel, knocked out the Dakota guy, knocked out the Rosario guy. So then we on the roller coaster. We steady moving. I mean, there's no stopping this show.
Right here in front.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Buenos días. Desde Argentina para Jermell Charlo. Le quiero preguntar cuánto paga de patente por la camioneta negra.
¿Cuánto paga de patente?
¿Cuánto paga de patente? Sí. Estoy seguro.
Well, the question is here for Brian Castaño, and the question from Lucas Tolosa here is: how much are you paying for the black license plate in your black SUV? ¿Qué es lo que? O sea,
you asked me that?
Esa es la pregunta, la tenés que responder vos.
I don't know what he's talking about.
No.
I didn't get the question. If that's the question for me, because he knows Spanish, so you could just talk to him in Spanish.
Sí, la pregunta fue esa: ¿cuánto paga de patente y de seguro?
La
pregunta es para Charlo. Para Charlo.
Claro, para Charlo.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry,
my bad. The question was for Charlo, not for Brian. How much are you paying for that black license plate in your SUV?
That's my name, man. I probably pay whatever the registration is. But I own every car that I have, though. I own them.
Yeah. Bueno, que la respuesta era de que, o sea, es su auto y que, o sea, no solo lo paga, sino que también es dueño de ese auto.
Got another Keith in the back.
Yeah, we're going to talk for a little bit after the press conference, but make sure you like the video and subscribe if you haven't. We're going to be here for live fight night coverage and the post-fight press conference.
This question's for Jermell, Keith Eidig from BoxingScene.com. Jermell, what did you think? I know he's obviously a southpaw, but what did you think of Brian Castaño's performance against a fighter you're very familiar with in Erislandy Lara, and did you think that he won the fight?
I don't necessarily want to say that he. I feel like Erislandy Lara may have pulled that fight off by an edge. Brian Castano did put a lot of pressure towards the end, and I feel that the punch rate wasn't where mine is at. The power wasn't where mine is at. So those are the fights that make a difference.
And I have a question for Brian also. Brian, how do you think Jermell compares to the best fighters that you fought in Michael Soro and Erislandy Lara?
Bueno, Brian, ¿cómo crees que Jermell se compara a grandes oponentes que tuviste en el pasado como Erislandy Lara y como Soro?
No, solamente en la altura y el alcance. Creo que son boxeadores diferentes, pero cada uno con su característica. Lo único que lo relacioné fue en la altura y en la envergadura de brazo.
Just in height and reach either. Those will be the only similarities I see between Jermell and the two opponents that you mentioned. The rest, Jermell is his own man and a tough opponent to fight.
Anybody else?
Jermell, Brian, he's made no secret, unlike many fighters, about what his game plan is, that he's coming to bring the pressure. But ultimately, even if, you win rounds fighting like that, is he walking into too much firepower trying to beat you that way?
We shall see Saturday. That's a question that I really can't answer. But most definitely it's dangerous just to walk into shots. It's dangerous just to come. Anything is dangerous just coming straight forward. Most of the opponents that I fought that come like that, I've pretty much fatality.
And also, Mel, you bring as much intensity into the ring. There's an anger. You got an edge when you come into the boxing ring. Where does that come from? Why is that, Jermell?
I'm putting my life on the line. I forgot to feed my family. I got a large family. I got a lot of things that I need to get understood in this boxing world before it's over. And I wanted to fight the best fighters. I never wanted to be a guy looking around trying to make my name and my record up. If you go back over my box record and career, you can see that I've always faced tough opponents. Even when I was with Golden Boy Promotions, they always put me in there with guys that was tough, and I guess they wanted to see if I could pull it off. My mindset was always stay down so you don't get cut. Like the NFL, they gotta work harder than the next person because they got somebody trying to take their position, and that's kind of what this is always about for me. And I kept that mental and I keep that drive going, and now I'm here, but I got a lot more to prove, in the world of boxing before it's over.
Yeah, it's on.
Jermell, my name is Joe Villanueva. I'm your cut man. I was with you in New York City when you fought against Harrison the first time. I know you won that fight. I just want to make everybody know that you haven't lost. You've never lost in my eyes.
Thank you, San Antonio. Joe, he from San Antonio, so I appreciate you coming in. Thank you, for sure. I don't feel like I lost, but it's boxing.
So there we have it, folks. Again, Saturday night, Showtime Championship Boxing, 9 o'clock Eastern. That is 6 o'clock Pacific time. 3-fight card. You do not want to miss it. If you want tickets, you got to go to AT&TCenter.com to purchase your tickets. The main event, and cannot say it enough, the undisputed 154-pound title is on the line. Jermell Charlo, Brian Castaño. It's going to be one hell of a night at the AT&T Center here in San Antonio. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Guys, let's face off, and let's start with the first fight of the night.
All right, let's do the chairs, guys. And if we can get you guys on the side. On that side.
Anyway, yeah, I'm going to be here on Fight Night, covering the card. I'm not going to cover this fight, though. No way. Sorry to these guys. Immanuwel Aleem, I've covered him before when he got that gift over Matt Big Horrible. And this guy, Amilcar, whatever his name is, no disrespect, he's not getting no coverage. You got to make it to the big leagues on this channel. Now that Rolly guy right there with that bullshit WBA Interim. I like the Miami Vice look you got going on. Now, I'm going to cover this card. I've also covered Anthony Can You Dig It Gidget, that guy right there on the right, in the World Boxing Super Series tournament when he lost to Ivan Baranchuk. Don't Rolly just look like he one of them like annoying kids? Like he just got like that smackable face. Like just like he just had the reputation in the neighborhood as being a badass kid. Like that little kid bad. He always in some shit. He got that look. Now this fight right here, undisputed. Not one question about what's the winner going to do next. Is the winner going to stay at 154? Is the winner going to move up? Don't fall for the bullshit. I'm telling you right now. Look at that height. Two time. So yeah, the winner has to defend the IBF first. That's the first mandatory, and that's Bakram Murtazaliev, who's on the non-televised undercard. Why is he not televised? I don't know. But I don't believe that if Charlo wins, he's going to stay at 154. I think he's moving up. Signs are pointing to him moving up. And then his brother possibly moving to 168.
Luke Thomas, Brian Campbell back with you. You can see the fighters there. That will be on Showtime Championship Boxing Saturday, 9 p.m. in the East. Or if, of course, you're in San Antonio, Texas, tickets are still available. Brian Campbell, a lot of indoor sunglasses. a lot of folks there with sunglasses on indoors.
Well, the future is pretty bright, Luke, to be fair. But
here, let's meet those guys for a minute. So tomorrow, also at 2 p.m. Eastern, this time is the weigh-in. We're going to be here for that. Hold on 1 minute. Let me turn them up for a little minute. You can listen to these guys.
Operates fully invested. A little bit of a chip on his shoulder. I love that swagger about him, whether it's inside the ring or on the microphone. I also love it that 31, we're seeing certainly a bright star on the verge of leaping into that pound-for-pound top 10 if he's not there already. But somebody who wants all the smoke now. He's made some money. He's got name recognition. He wants those career-defining legacy fights now. And I think that was communicated through his comments today.
Yeah, I want to pitch you back to you, though, if I may here. Again, Luke Thomas, Brian Campbell, with our hosts of Morning Combat. We'll be here for a little bit of a wrap-up. BC, we've seen recently Charlo's brother, Jermell, and obviously, yes, they're twins and they're brothers and they're both boxers, so there's going to be a lot of similarities. But actually, when you listen to Jermell here, who was on stage today, you can really pick up on the differences. He seems a little bit more talkative. He seems to be thought about what the media might ask him ahead of time.
What do you mean by that? Your back is broken. What, a vertebrae or what portion? Spinal.
Canman has just donated $2. You're the man. Prediction for the main event, T? Keep up great job.
Thanks, bro. Well, 60-40 Charlo. Castaño has a significant height deficit at 5'7". He's listed at 5'7". Charlo's about a 6-footer. What is Charlo listed at? Charlo's listed at about 5'10", 5'11". You saw it in the face-off. Castaño, however, is a very capable pressure fighter. Now, if he were to defeat, damn it, hold on, we're lagging a little bit. I'm working out some things with the streaming so we can be in full 1080p starting next week. So if we're a little choppy, I'm working on some kinks. But basically, Charlo in the past, when he has had issues, going back to a fighter by the name of John Jackson, we haven't really seen him against a real pressure fighter. Now, Castaño is a relative unknown. Showtime was dancing around it, but on a casual level, nobody knows who he is. He got the WBO belt off of Patrick Teixeira. He's been flirting with the WBO mandatory status for about close to 2 years now, since the Mikel Soro. In fact, let's go look at his resume really quickly. 17-0-1 with 12 KOs. My personal opinion, I covered the fight. It was on PBC on Fox. I believe that he had beat Erislandy Lara, and at that time, that was for the WBA bullshit world title, right? Yeah, it wasn't a Super World title when he fought Lara. Couple fights before that against Michelle Soro for the WBA interim title. So he's been flirting with, a title shot and in a title picture for a good 3 years now, 3+ years now. So he's been around. The thing is, outside of Erislandy Lara is pretty typecast, jab, left hand, jab, left hand. That's pretty much it. And for a pressure fighter, a guy like Lara, you can try to beat him on points. And that's how the fight ended up being a draw. In the case of Jermell Charlo, I'm going to go ahead and say that I think that Jermell Charlo is better than Jermell Charlo. And clearly he has the best resume. I did a whole 50-minute video earlier this week on why Charlo after this fight should be pound for pound, but why he isn't pound for pound right now. Did a whole video on that. The Ring Magazine pound for pound, he's not in that, not in the top 10. He's got votes in the ESPN pound for pound, he's not in the top 10. He's got votes. Let's see what these guys are talking about. But I am going with Charlo 60-40. And I expect for it to be a competitive fight. And if Charlo was to get a knockout, that's a big, big, big deal.
Speed, both hand and feet, with fight-ending power, which both Charlo brothers can, and certainly Jermell at 154. That's a dangerous combination. And no, Castaño has not fought that, even though he fought very well against Erislandy Lara, and you really could have, flipped a coin on who won that fight.
The come-forward style can get Castaño knocked out. Yes, it can be a detriment. It can be a definite detriment. But what I'm concerned about is who the winner is going to fight. Because here, I got to make sure I fix this today so we don't have no issues for the weigh-in tomorrow. Basically, I'm not jumping around too much because I don't want my broadcast to freeze or whatever. So we're doing a little 1080p full HD test here. Oh, wait, let's see what's going on here.
We saw Jermell, in fights in which he scored late knockouts where he was down on the cards or it was close. Luke, Jermell is very selective, sometimes too selective with his punch output. When he lands big, he can finish you. But if he can't finish Brian Castaño, this is the wrong opponent for him. A guy who can double his output, triple it, in fact, and throw nothing but power shots on the inside. Conversely, of course, Luke, and that's why you have Charlo being so confident, if Castaño's going to put his head down and come forward, you're walking right into the spider web. Leave a message and I'll call you back.
If you look at the odds for this one, BC, they're obviously vary depending on where you look, but they've got Jermell Charlo at about a minus 240, 250 favorite, and Castaño at about plus 200. For boxing odds, that is actually close. In fact, that's the tightest of all the odds on the 3-fight main card. Do you agree roughly with the odds maker's assessment?
I do. You look fighter for fighter, who's the more skilled guy? Who's got some of those skills that jump off the screen? Certainly Jermell Charlo, as decorated in this division as they come, has won big fights, has multiple ways to win big fights, can box just as good as he can punch. But Castaño does have that secret weapon of that combination of hard-nosed toughness and an ability, like I said earlier, Luke, to not only get inside on you. Getting inside on somebody is a great skill to have, but sometimes you got to pay a big price to do that. Castaño's tricky. He has a way of getting inside without taking heavy damage, squaring up, and then coming at you with that two-fisted attack. So if he can go to the body early against Charlo, this could be a very interesting fight as the rounds progress. I like Charlo as your favorite, certainly, but I like that these odds are close enough to show you Castaño's coming in there, not as a live underdog. He's coming in there as an unbeaten champion looking to become the undisputed king.
And, that's my argument, too, is, if Castaño has a chance, it's going to come from activity. Out punching Jermell Charlo. But what's going to happen when it gets on the inside? We haven't really seen Jermell Charlo really dig deep on the inside. Or at least I can't remember. Remind me if I'm wrong. And if you don't know, I've covered every single Jermell Charlo fight on YouTube since, I'm going to tell you right now, I've covered every one. It's been probably like 8 years now, maybe longer. Since Gabriel Rosado. I believe I may have covered the Demetrius Hopkins one, depending on what card. I've been covering these Charlo brothers for years now. I've watched all of their fights. I'm talking about when they're live. If you're watching I'm here watching the fights, and I have the videos to prove it. So I'm trying to figure out who really tested him on the inside. Gabriel Rosado, that's a very credible win now when you're looking back at it. Look, that was back in 2014. Gabriel Rosado may be fighting Jaime Munguia. Vinicius Martirossi, a very credible fight at that time. The John Jackson, he was losing that fight up until he got the needed KO. Charles Hatley, okay, some nice solid wins under his belt. Erickson Lubin, look where he's at currently, WBC #1 contender. He sparked him out in round 1. I was there ringside. Well, I wasn't. I was in the back doing some bullshit, trying to get back ringside. By the time I came out, the fight was over. Austin Trout, very over the hill at the point in time, but still nice solid name. The Tony Harrison, a lot of people, when that fight was announced, I remember, like, who the fuck is Tony Harrison or Charlo going to knock him out? Well, my personal opinion, Charlo got a bad decision that night. And Jermell is the one who got the gift. So I think that he won that Tony Harrison fight. The Jorge Cota fight, it was supposed to be originally the Harrison rematch, but Harrison was injured. So he fought Tony Harrison after that, got the knockout win. Jason Rosario, Jelly Belly, punched him right in the stomach. We saw how that went. His stomach's still not doing well. We saw what Lubin did to him. And now fighting undisputed against Brian Castaño.
We've never seen this at 154, and I think there's a the last 20 years.
Why was that so
it's hard
loud
to
like
do in
that?
this
Jesus.
game today, and it certainly allows you to put a giant feather in your cap, whether you're talking about your legacy at the end of the day or just where you stand in the sport today. I've gone into a division, I've made it my own, I've left no doubt.
All right, very quickly, reminder, this is a 3-fight main card, your co-main event. Rolando Romero taking on late replacement Anthony Yiggett. This is actually going to be for the WBA interim lightweight title, which, by the way, BC, Romero picked up that title when he beat Jackson Mariñez, but that was a very disputed contest. He did have a win afterwards against Avery Sparrow. What are you expecting in that co-main?
Look, I'll tell you what, Rolly Romero's a fun fighter. Love him, hate him, he don't care. I'll tell you that much. He's full of swagger. He believes in his power. Arguably, more than any other fighter not named Deontay Wilder in this sport. And what that means is his boxing skills are not on the same level of his power. You mentioned that Mariñez fight, which was iffy. It looked like he had lost that from our vantage point. It doesn't matter when you...
I'm not high on Rolly Romero. Yeah, he's a character, but I'm not high on him. So once again, here's the undercard. The televised, Charlo versus Castaño, Rolly Romero versus Anthony Can You Dig It Yidget. Amilcar Vidal versus Immanuwel Aleem, and then the IBF mandatory #1 contender, the guy that Charlo Castaño, from my understanding, has to fight next, Bakram Murtazaliev, is not even televised. So that gives me no reason to believe that, you know, the winner of Charlo versus Castaño, especially if it's Charlo's going to fight him. I think Charlo's going to move up, or they're going to try to find some type of way to make the Lubin fight, but nonetheless, I think Charlo's going to move up. We'll see, though, guys. We will see. Let me see what they're doing here.
He's a guy who's been really trying to establish...
We're going to wrap it up right there. I don't expect anything else here. Let's listen to the rest of it before we go. Because I'm sure they're wrapping
the fighter who gets his hand raised at the end of the day, although I certainly like Aleem's chances a little bit more of really starting to make a run here and starting to seek out those bigger names. So a good early test on this triple header to kick things off as we set the table toward the Undisputed Championship to close the night.
All right, well, Brian and I will be back tomorrow.
I said I'm going to be getting up out of here, too. We're going to be here tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, also about an hour or so before now, for the weigh-in. And then I'm going to be here covering the main event and the chief support in Rolly Romero versus Anthony Can You Dig It Yidget. And we're going to be here for the post-fight press conference and post-fight live. So please take your time out, like the video.